what we've learned being relationship coaches is that relationships are a crucible for discovering ourselves.
Yeah.
Really, it's how I connect with you, with him, is me bumping up against my limitations, my hesitations, my worries. And so if I'm fighting my relationship, I'm actually fighting myself. And I can't be in alignment with my business if I'm spending the whole time fighting with myself.
Welcome to another episode of WyzeCast, the show that elevates voices, shines the light, showcases the gifts of our heart-centered guests, and amplifies the positive differences they are making in the world. In a world where 4 out of 10 couples are thinking about leaving their partners, today's guests are 2 groundbreaking relationship coaches who specialize in guiding couples through the challenges of love and entrepreneurship. They have over 10 years of experience changing the lives of couples and individuals, combining simple, everyday strategies with deep, powerful, life-changing wisdom that gives you more connection, intimacy, and profit. They teach couples how to have a powerful, intimate partnership. For ambitious entrepreneur couples, this is the most direct way to thrive long-term in business. With their help, their clients have fallen back in love with their partners and with themselves as they change the world as entrepreneurs, and the world has never needed it more. Carina Reeves and Hillard are passionate about helping entrepreneurial couples become a dream team with or maybe even multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses, and a relationship that feels like winning the life lottery. Who doesn't want to have it all? My name is Melanie McSally, your host for today's episode, and without further ado, I would like to welcome the lovely, the inspirational couple who I just adore, Carina Reeves and Hillard, who are coming to us from the East Coast of Canada. However, Carina actually originates from BC, Canada, and Matt is from London, England.
This is fun. I like doing this with you. And thank you so much, Melanie, for inviting us to be on. We are really excited to be changing relationships of couple entrepreneurs, whether it's their own business or if they both have a business. You know, like the stat of the highest divorce rate, it's entrepreneurs who are changing the world. We're the ones building the vision and the new thing.
I love this concept of entrepreneurial couples, but I can definitely see how living and working together might have pros and cons. I've heard you 2 talk about how putting your relationship first can actually add more time to your day. And you know how I am all about saving time, money, and energy. So can you explain to our listeners, how does putting your relationship first add more time to your day?
Ooh, I love that question.
Mm-hmm.
How does putting the relationship first put more time in your day? Well, I think we've both had experiences where when you're fighting with your person, it's like nothing else really good is happening or flowing. You don't feel good in your body. Your mind's disconnected. Your mind's distracted, I think is the even better word. And so, think about how much time gets wasted when you are fighting with your partner. You're not taking over the world when you're fighting at home, or it's from an energy of pushing away the relationship, which actually, anger can have a lot of galvanizing and empowering energy. But we love the idea of togetherness and being holistic and being synergistic with other people is an energy that we think is when the masculine and feminine are like flowing together. Masculine and feminine are flowing together. And that cohesiveness, that synergy is what the world really needs, to combine like love and business, to combine togetherness and vision. That's sort of like couple levels that I'm thinking. How does that plan for you?
All of that, yeah, especially the amount of time that you can spend. Like, let me backtrack. So much of the time I see people putting their relationships on the back burner. And that happens, I think, especially a lot in when there's an entrepreneur or two entrepreneurs in a couple, because the focus required by the business and growing the business is so sharp. And there's a belief that you can kind of just, you've met your person, maybe you're married, maybe you live together, maybe you're parents. There's the idea that will just kind of take care of itself and continue to take care of itself.
Yeah.
And it may need to for a while, and I think for short phases that's completely fine and necessary to grow business and take care of other things that come up in life. But as an ongoing choice, there's going to be increasing wear and tear on the relationship, and then the conflicts that arise that don't get resolved, and the continuing loops of conflict just kind of eat away at the edges and then at the core of your day. And the time that you're not working, you're spending trying to fix the relationship, and it's exhausting and time consuming. Yeah. So prioritizing your relationship, and like you were saying, kind of having that interweaving of work and relationship is really they can feed one another.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Was there anything else I wanted to? Oh, yeah. There was something else you said. Oh, yeah, putting it on the back burner. And I love how you said how that eats away at the foundation, at the core of the two. Like, it feels like when you fall in love with someone, it feels like you can take on the world, like anything, literally anything is possible. So when you eat away at that experience, that belief, that foundation, especially as an entrepreneur, you're eating away at your life force. You're eating away at who and how you want to be in the world, which, if you're in a relationship, is about being in that relationship. So you stop being in that relationship, you stop being in yourself, and you stop being in the world when you aren't nourishing all the pieces.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you.
I can totally relate to this. I am deeply impacted by energy. So when I'm upset, someone I care about is upset, or I'm just in negative energy, productivity goes out the door or out the window, however you want to phrase that, because I am focused on the energy rather than what I'm actually doing. But when things are flowing, they're flowing, right? And when you're in flow, it can feel like time stands still, and yet you get so much accomplished. Being productive and feeling the joy and security of being in a loving and aligned relationship, to me, feels like having it all. Like, what a blessing, right? All right, so that's all definitely a pro. But I've heard you say entrepreneurial couples have the highest divorce rate, which would be obviously a con. So can you tell our listeners why that is? Why do entrepreneurial couples have the highest divorce rate?
This is a good one.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Do you want to lead us off?
I thought this one was yours.
Oh, it was. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a. I
found the stat.
You found the stat. I didn't know it was a stat, and I'm not surprised that it is the stat that it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, entrepreneurship, it does require intense focus and dedication to building that business, to achieving those goals, and that can be done to the detriment of the relationship. And if you have the belief that the relationship is just going to take care of itself because you've met the one and things were so good and easy at the beginning, and that's just going to continue without any nurturing, without any management, for want of a better word, that's only going to work in the short term. And I think entrepreneurship, people come to it from a place of passion for this idea that they want to bring into the world, and it might also be to support the couple, to support the family if you have kids. And so there's there's identity wrapped up in that, there's mission wrapped up into that, so it can feel like the most important priority is building that business, is following through on the commitments to the business, and to be asked to take your focus away from that can feel like a compromise of identity, a compromise of purpose. And we live in a society where there's a lot of talk and excitement about being an entrepreneur and building a business and 2xing and 5xing and 10xing, that makes it seem like really like a really desirable. Like when I was growing up, entrepreneurship wasn't a career. Like you were like a small business owner. Like that's what it was called.
Like you owned a corner shop.
You owned a corner shop, and the thing you did was the business that you ran. But now, like, entrepreneurship is actually an identity that people have and people to aspire to.
Yeah.
So to like ask people to, or suggest to people that maybe a relationship is more important, I think it could be quite unnerving, maybe, in a way. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that divorce occurs more often than in entrepreneur couples than in others.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. And I want to add this awareness too of the water we swim in, of our society, of the stereotypes of going out. Right? We've had, well, at least since the adoration, or the what's the word, to be like the example of the 50s, right? Where the men go out and they do all the business things and the women do the house things. And there's this separation of who does what. Doing things as a together is kind of I think it's quite a modern concept. And it requires putting down, letting go of some of the beliefs of the individual, of the lone wolf, of it's me against the world. And you have to put down those beliefs to be in the synergy of doing things together. It's not just my ego. It's not just my validation. It's how are we doing things together? Can you feel like how separate that is? Like, can you feel how separate that is from I have accomplished this to we are building this? Yeah. Then it starts to weave together a much more healthy way of seeing yourself, which lets you have a healthier way of being in relationship together, which lets you have a more flowing and healthy and organic way of how you show up in the world. If it is all push and show and force and demand and that 10x energy you were thinking about, I don't want to get to the 10x and then look down and be like, is that all there is?
Yeah.
Right? Which I've heard about a lot from other entrepreneurs and other coaches. It's like, okay, I've got the goal and it feels empty.
Yeah.
And the opposite of feeling empty is when we feel connected.
Yeah.
That is the opposite of feeling empty. So people who are entrepreneurs like there probably is a lot of us that are coming from like, what can I accomplish? Who can I be? What is the thing I can create in the world? Is like you want to shift from wanting to prove yourself to wanting to explore what's possible. Instead of proving yourself, you're exploring what's possible. And then you're not the lone wolf conquering the world. You are a connected human being, starting first with your relationship and then spreading that discovery and amplification into the world. I've heard people talk about money, that there's a fear of, when I make more money, who will I be? What if I turn into a rich asshole? Melanie, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but anyway. And money amplifies who you already are. What we're offering is, we want entrepreneurial success to be more of who you are. And so you want that to start with being connected human beings, not disconnected, running for some arbitrary finish line. Does that resonate?
Yeah, there's one thing you said about the proving yourself. So, what does that look like? Have I proved myself when I've met this goal, or when I've met this goal, or when I've worked 16-hour days a whole month in a row? Like, those are very kind of individual goals, and there's always another goal. There's always another summit. So that can be a treadmill to know. So if you're like working at proving yourself, and then when you've proved yourself, you'll turn your attention to the relationship because you can rest a bit. You may never get to turning your attention to the relationship, or the relationship might already be gone by that point.
Yes. Because I'm just going to talk about feminine energy for a second. Feminine energy loves more. Like, ooh, I love this chocolate. Oh, I also love this house, this outfit, this relationship, this, like, it can be a healthy energy of what else would I like, but not if it comes from proving. That proving is the more of the toxic energy. So when you are already connected and like enjoying each other, then you reach a goal and you're like, ooh, that was fun. That was amazing. I love that. What would you like to do now? What would feel good next is very different than the proving energy. It's not a treadmill, it's an expansion. That's it. I want the world to shift from a treadmill to enjoying expansion. I think that's the healthy feminine and the healthy energies working together.
I like that.
Oh my God. Being in a state of expansion instead of running on a treadmill, that creates such a vivid set of images in my mind. Like this overworked, overwhelmed set of characters in a hamster wheel. That's what I'm picturing. Versus this calm tranquility of what we talked about earlier, being in flow, like the serenity of a waterfall, flowing together. I love how you take this abstract concept of female and masculine energies and create these very tangible and vivid images that we can latch onto for what weaving business and relationship together in a tapestry can actually look like. You two are so adorable and so delightful. I could talk to you all day. So what's one last thing you would like our entrepreneurial couples to know?
How to be present with yourself, then you get to be present with your partner. And then you get to know how to be present with your clients, present even with silly things like when tech comes up or last minute changes or a client's not happy or something didn't go how you wanted. When you're learning how to be present with yourself, then everything flows from you. It unfolds as opposed to fighting and pushing with everything. And what we've learned being relationship coaches is that relationships are a crucible for discovering ourselves.
Yeah.
Really, it's how I connect with you, with him, is me bumping up against my limitations, my hesitations, my worries. And so if I'm fighting my relationship, I'm actually fighting myself. And I can't be in alignment with my business if I'm spending the whole time fighting with myself. So you shared the bit about like some of the nuts and bolts of how, like, some of the beautiful ways that we help couples like connect with themselves. Like, all about listening, isn't it?
So much of it is about listening and reflecting and validating. When like conflict happens and gets perpetuated so often when we don't feel heard, when we don't feel validated, when we don't feel understood. So learning those key skills, which most of us, like especially men, didn't learn to any great degree, and to bring those into our relationships is so powerful. When we feel heard, our nervous systems calm down. And when our nervous systems calm down, we listen more. Mm-hmm. So you create this kind of this flow of listening and understanding, and that's really key to a successful relationship. And in a business, relationships are everywhere. They're with our employees, they're with our clients, they're with our kids, they're with our service providers.
In the business, right?
In the business realm.
Yeah.
So these skills that allow us to be present in our primary relationships also support our businesses in really, really fundamental ways. So if there's one thing I'd want every couple to know, it's the importance of listening, the importance of reflecting, the importance of validating in a way, doing it in a way that your partner feels heard, feels listened to, same thing, feels validated.
Yeah, it's how you do anything is how you do everything. There's like energy that's the same, that's same. So, there'll be voices that come up that will say, this is a waste of time to like turn towards your partner if there's a conflict. Yeah. The business is, we have to get this other thing done. And there's a bit of like, you walk the edge of, sometimes there are things that just need to get done, but to keep putting off the relationship means that you're not turning towards yourself. Your relationship is the part of the foundation of who you are. And I want every couple to let that in, to let in the person that they love, let in to see the parts that are hurt, not as an attack, but as a place to learn and to grow. And then together you get to bring that into your business.
Wow. Listening, reflecting, and validating. I bet if we went out and interviewed thousands of successful couples that have stayed married for decades, an overwhelming percentage of them would say that the key to their success is communication. And while I believe wholeheartedly that that's true, I love what you've given our listeners here today, because you've taken this broad concept of communication and you've broken it down into tangible, sure that I've understood my partner and it's validating them even if I don't agree with them. I know for myself, it can feel quite frustrating when I don't feel heard. And it can feel equally lonely when I don't feel understood. So I love that you're giving this very tangible, concrete, something that we can latch onto, advice to work through those barriers, those trouble points, or even just to avoid them. Well, It has been such a pleasure having you two with us today. If I'm not mistaken, I think you have an offer or a gift for our listeners. Do you want to tell us about that?
Has a bit of a funny title of, how to 10 tips to work with your spouse without killing them, because it can feel like it sometimes. Yeah. And when you have some tools and references in your pocket to how you can talk to yourself in your own mind. People call it mindset. People call it, what's your little voice. When you get to know yourself better and have more tools, you get to be kinder to yourself and kinder to your partner, and then you have more time to change the world.
Yeah.
And make more money.
Yeah, and the 10 tips as well. It's places where you might not realize that conflict and blocks are occurring in the relationship. So hopefully it'll kind of shed some light across your relational landscape, your entrepreneurial landscape, to places to pay attention and perhaps be aware of what you're doing and offer suggestions of how to do things differently that create more harmony and ease and connection and intimacy.
Society likes to pretend everything is separate. And I promise you, everything is connected. So how you speak to your partner for, I don't know, if you want them to bring you coffee, or how you relate to each other when the washing up is still in the dishes in the sink. I promise that all adds in, and our wish is that it seems like an opportunity as opposed to an overwhelm, because it can be overwhelming to have change, and the payoff is 1,000,000% worth it. Wonderful.
For sure. Yeah.
And we're very excited to be building our new business together. It's very wonderful. Thank you so much, Melanie, for this opportunity to be talking to you and sharing our perspectives.
Yeah, thank you, Melanie. This has been wonderful.
It has been my honor. Well, folks, there you have it. If you would like to work with your partner in flow to build a 6 or 7+ figure business while simultaneously having a loving relationship, then I highly suggest you take Carina and Matt up on their free gift for you to get started today. The link is below. It is also in the description. So please do click that link, head on over, get their free gift today. You can always come back and get it out of the description if you're just listening, say in the car or something. You can't do that right now. Thank you to my guests, Carina and Matt. It has been such a delight having you here today, listening to your wisdom and experiencing your love and joy for and with each other. I want to thank our listeners for tuning in. If you like what you heard here today, please do like, share, and comment. We are trying to get WyzeCast to be a hot new release. So if you feel inspired, if you felt moved, if you felt called, if we earned it, please do like, share, and comment. It is free for you to do so. It really helps the podcast grow, and we really do love your engagement. This was another episode of WyzeCast, the show that elevates the voices, shines the light, showcases the gifts of our heart-centered guests, and amplifies the positive difference they're making in the world. If you want to learn more about WyzeCast, you can visit our website at wyzecast.com. We drop 10 episodes every month on the 21st, so you can binge watch or spread them out over the month, whatever suits your mood and lifestyle. Once again, my name is Melanie. It has been my pleasure being your host today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your engagement. And I invite you to come back and join me once again for our next episode of WyzeCast.